What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and some more Hail Caesar faction coverage here. So we're moving on with a powerhouse today. That is the early Byzantines, so roughly 6th through 7th centuries AD. So one of the more prosperous eras for the empire, the Eastern Roman Empire here. So things to look at, of course, Justinian, Belisarius, so and more, but really those two names definitely stand out, of course. So this harkens back to some of the earlier lists that we've seen, the classical powerhouses, so things like some of the Carthage lists we've seen, certainly the Romans, Macedonians, even the successors, and a smattering of other things along the way. So this is right up there with just all the different tools that it puts at your disposal, and a fun what-if battle to fight as well against, basically anything else that you want to throw at it. So that's one of the beauty of Hail Caesar's system here, right? So we cover several thousand years. So really more or less any battle you could dream up, you could definitely fight that battle, see how it will turn out. So this one is a fairly balanced force here, although we can definitely lean it one way or the other, depending on preference. So you do have to have at least some infantry and some cavalry, right? Quarter each, but from there, it's essentially up to you as to what you want to do. The only other real restriction here is the cavalry. At least half the cavalry units in the army must be, which is an interesting name here, Cavalry, heavy cavalry. Almost sounds like saying cavalry twice on that. But overall, yeah, like I said, we can go fairly balanced 50-50 infantry cavalry, or swing it a little bit more one way or the other, up to a max of 3/4 in one direction. But so it's also a fairly long list, in contrast to a lot of the shorter ones we've seen recently. As we've seen with a lot of these more powerful factions throughout history, they tend to have just a lot of options at their disposal, and also some pretty good units as well. So we can definitely see, as we pan down real quick, lots and lots of special rules at our disposal here. So we have, again, a great selection of troops. So we start off with the infantry, right? So we have medium infantry, and let's not butcher this here, Konteratoi, mixed with mixed ranks of spears and javelins / darts. So interesting selection of weapons there. So the base profile here is, again, that standard medium infantry template, but we actually get drilled medium infantry, which we haven't, I don't think, seen a lot of. It's usually drilled heavy, but clocking in at 26 points there. Now for 3 extra points, we can actually upgrade those to long spears with the same javelin dart package there. Just, again, that short range ability. But an extra weapon upgrade here, is it going to be worth the 3 points? That's something you're going to have to decide. But either way, you can't go wrong with that as just a baseline infantry unit. But wait, it gets better. We also have a heavy infantry version of that, again with spears and javelin / darts. This heavy infantry profile starts at the 29 points that you would pay for the upgraded medium infantry unit. So something to consider there. Again, basic heavy infantry template, so we get +1 on the combat stats, and we get a better morale save overall. So basically +3 total stat points for 3 extra points of the unit there. So not a bad option to go. And then here we have some other options as well, which, really, I think at least one of these, or both options, depending on how we want to do that, are pretty spicy here. So we could pay 1 point extra to arm them with spears and bows, which gives us basically just a 1 for long range, but nonetheless it is a 1 for long range. So imagine facing down just block after block of heavy infantry. That also is going to throw a couple dice at you at long range and hopefully cause an odd wound or two. Meanwhile, they're still sitting pretty with their own heavy infantry morale save. So 30 points for that. But then we can also pay extra to arm them with long spears instead of spears. And if they read it correctly, you could do both upgrades here, right? So you could have bows and long spears. Now you are paying 33 points a unit, and everything's still drilled so far, right? We haven't left like non-special rule units yet, but that's up there with some of the more expensive units as far as infantry goes, certainly. But long spear heavy infantry, we're not going to get pikes like the Macedonians, but again, long spear heavy infantry with drilled as just a base unit. We're not restricted in other ways, and we could possibly throw in some long bows there, or just bows rather. That seems doesn't seem terrible, right? That's doable. So interesting that the medium infantry version does not get the bows. So be interesting to know what the historical background on that part was. But anyway, just overall great units there to start off with. So then we get Essarian light infantry archers as small units. So again, annoying as far as what the opponent will have to deal with there, but lots and lots of these small units to back up these big infantry blocks. 15 points a pop there. Does seem maybe a tad bit high. I'd love to see that actually at 14 points, but it is what it is. We do need more serious long-range firepower. Again, the list has that in spades, so no worries if we don't necessarily want to go with that flavor. We have Siloi skirmishers armed with javelins, fielded as small units. Again, we know what those guys do. Part of that typical skirmisher package that we've seen over and over and over again. But then also skirmishers with slings or bows as small units. So there we go. That's a little bit more in line with what we typically tend to see. So again, true skirmisher profile here. Don't want these guys in combat, but more annoying long-range stuff for the opponent to have to deal with. So again, not only do you just have a solid core of heavy infantry like some of our classical powerhouses, but we can then just mix in all over the place, lots and lots of missile fire. So really, by the time the opponent gets to you, none of their units should be untouched, right? They should all have at least a couple wounds on them, and then you just need to get off some solid charges or let them crash into you with lots and lots of damage already on them, and you just kind of mop up and get them shaken and then broken. Moving on into the cavalry now. Again, lots of good stuff here. So we start off with that Cavalry, heavy cavalry with spears, darts, and bows. Again, interesting packages here, spears, darts, and bows. But heavy cavalry profile, nasty. And also a 2 on long range, which, just bonkers for cavalry, right? They're going to pepper you on the way in, and, gosh, if they get that charge off, it's going to be nasty. We also upgrade them to elite. So again, you're already starting at base 35 points, so super expensive, but damn, that's good stuff. 38 points, probably not something you want to do to every single unit, but, if you wanted to just have fewer cavalry units overall, but each of them are going to be just nasty, that could be something to go with. And then 1 unit, which again, I will say, if you get these one of units, they're usually pretty special for the list. You might as well just take at least that 1 unit, if nothing else. And so for 1 extra point, we can have one of these units be cataphract, so you might as well make it also the elite one, right? So it does drop the long range by 1, but I mean, who cares? That's really not what that unit's about. It's just nice that it can shoot pretty proficiently. It's all about the combat for that one. Now we also we're spoiled for light cavalry types here, so we get light cavalry. What is this called? Trapezitoi, armed with javelins as small units. Feign flight, again, very similar to a lot of the other similar units that we've seen like that. So it does what it needs to do, and 19 points a pop. Good stuff there. But wait, we have more feign flight. We have Hun or Avar light cavalry with bows and javelins. So we get annoying light cavalry for the opponent to deal with if we employ it properly. So another long-range option, and again, speedy boys here because we have them on cavalry. 21 points for that. Happy to pay that extra cost for the long-range pew-pew on that. Avar horse archers, fielded as small units, so another flavor of that. So again, above we have light cavalry that just happen to have bows, but now we have horse archers specifically. So essentially same stats. We lose a little bit of combat, but again, that's not what they're about. And again, small units here. But here we get Parthian shot, which again, just spoiled in this list for so many options and what we can just do to the opponent with all this. Then if you are running a little bit shy on points, or maybe you want a little something different, you could throw in Herul, Lombard, or Gepid heavy cavalry with spears. Just plain Jane heavy cavalry unit, 30 points a pop. So you could, again, just depending if you've already gone a little overboard on some of the other points with some of the more expensive options above, and you just can't fit everything in, you might downgrade to just a plain heavy cavalry unit, right? Which doesn't seem so bad at all. Not everybody even gets heavy cavalry, so you just have a generic option if you need to. Another flavor of heavy cavalry here too is essentially Hun or Avar heavy cavalry with spears, javelins, but they also come with bows. And of the two, if I had to take one or other, we're going to pay 2 points more, but I might as well just have that option of, again, also being able to shoot at long range with that. So, but wait, we're still not done. We also have Moorish Lombard or Arab light cavalry with spears and or javelins as small units here. So a little bit more similar to what we had above. But these guys coming in at 19 points. So, and again, we get feigned flight here. So trying to just check from above, basically the small, or exactly the same, I think, is just the generic option above. So really, we probably could have just, bundled that all into one listing. So sometimes the game does have that on these lists. So I guess just more to specify what nationality they are a part of in some of these multinational forces. But then, wait, we still have a little bit more. So we have Arab camel-mounted light cavalry with bows and javelins as small units. You only get one of these. So for 1 point extra, you do get some camels if you feel like that is necessary in your list. And again, another long-range option. So you're just spoiled overall for this. You don't really have any threes here as far as long range goes. Just double check and make sure we're not misrepresenting that, but that's fine. You have so many different options to get ones and twos, at least in the long range stat, and just quantity to back it up. There's no other restrictions outside of the few one of units. So again, you have just on command here as much of the good stuff as you want from all these different units. So really, you're spoiled for choices. In other words, to make a long story short here, so really you can make this list do just about what you want. Last but not least, we're spoiled here again because we have one of those rare lists where we can upgrade our leadership to 9, right? So start off with that regular leadership of 8, and we can pay a little bit more to have the general be leadership 9. So not only is this list already good, even if we were just limited to a general of leadership 8, if you're running this list, guys, pay that extra, get the leadership 9, and just have that much more flexibility in giving your orders as well. Still need to be smart, right? We don't want to give dumb orders and get ourselves into trouble and put ourselves into bad situations, but having access to the leadership 9 is just powerful. There's only like a handful of lists that have that, and this is one of them. So Early Byzantines, a true powerhouse. Just got to really build the right list to definitely take advantage of that. But if you want to go cavalry heavy, great, we got you. You still have to have that minimum 25% infantry, but the infantry you're going to have is awesome. If you want to go infantry heavy, great. Again, awesome stuff all around, and you still have that minimum cavalry component, but again, it is also fantastic. And if you want to just split it right down the middle, 50-50 or 60-40 one way, again, you're just going to have so much good stuff in quantity here. One of the true powerhouses up there, so definitely rank it up there with some of the other heavy hitters that we've seen so far. But let us know in the comments, guys, if you've collected early Byzantines and played them, whether it's for this or some other ancient system. Love to hear your thoughts on it and what your successes have been, and maybe what has actually posed a challenge to you from its own historical time period, again, 6th, 7th centuries AD, or if you've taken it up against some other list from another part of history that they maybe, wouldn't have realistically faced, but, what has proven to be a challenge for your Byzantines. Hit us up in the comments, guys, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.